Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to learn one of the most important concept in React, use state and use effect hooks. Here we are going to see how use state hook works and how the use effect hook works. So React use state hooks. It brings state management to functional components, storing dynamic data, triggering automatic re-renders whenever the data change. The purpose of useState is simple. It stores data inside a component. Whenever the stored data changes, React automatically updates the user interface. This process is called re-rendering. Imagine an application you want to maintain a state of user or a state of a multi-choice text box of we have 5 choices and which choice is to be default and which choice to be chosen. So in this state, to maintain the state of that component, we have a variable which is called useState. It is called hook which can be maintained. For example, this is the syntax. For example, constant state, set state, use state with the initial value. This is one of a small counter example. If you can see here, the initial state of that count is 0 and the, the variable here is count and the method name is set count. So the count variable is used in this hash2 header. Whenever there is a user event on click button is pressed, the count value is incremented by 1. So whenever the button is pressed, the count value be incremented at 1 and the hash2 header will be re-rendered this state and displays here. So this is called the use state. So whenever there is a change in the count value, the hash2 component is re-entered. Only that component will be re-entering automatically. The UI will be updated automatically. That is a use of use state. So as I told here, the component loads will have some initial value 0. When the user event is there, here the user event is on click. When set state is called, the set state is nothing but here set count. React re-renders. Yes, here the value will be re-renders and change according to the number of time that button is clicked. So this is called the use state. How this is the way the use state will be working. So the main thing here is the reactivity means the UI always reflects the current state. No manual DOM update is required. You don't wanna, manually you don't want to change it, automatically re-renders the state. This is what the use state. We can see the one real-time example after explaining use effect. So next comes use effect. So unless use effect doesn't store data. Instead, it performs side effects. So when it becomes the side effect, what is side effect? Side effect means calling an API, fetching a data, accessing local storage, starting some timers. So I want to do this timers within this task. Listening the browser events, cleaning up the subscription. These are some of the side effects here. So when it will run after the component renders. When there is a UI page is loaded, after the component renders, then finally this use effect will be running. So if you want to have any dependency to be mentioned, you can mention in the dependency array when it runs. You can mention with dependency or without dependency based on whether the array is empty or not. We can see in that in the syntax. It can return a cleanup function to prevent memory leaks. So it will prevent the memory leaks also, cleanup functions. So here this is one of the basic syntax. As I told here, you can use it in 3 ways. Only once, so there will be no dependency. You can run only once after the component renders. This will be ran. So whenever there is an update on the dependency, if you want to run this use effect, this is the syntax. So the dependency runs on every update if any changes in this dependency mentioned here. And it is also will have a component when it is unmount, runs on when we are unmounting, then means unloading a page. Okay, this is the use effect page. The real-time example, as I told here, whenever user opens a product page, the app fetches product details from an API. For example, you can think of an Amazon web page where if you want to go into electronics page product, so if you go, the first the page will be launched, and after that the product will be launched one by one. So this is one of the example where first the UI renders, component renders, and then the later the product renders. This is one of the example. So if you see here a small example, here they are rendering one of a product 101 and getting the response and displaying the product name and the product price. This is the component that it is rendering. So this is the flow. Okay, this is the theoretical part. Now we can go with some example. Here I have a small example to explain. It is an incident dashboard where the dashboard will have one table which will list some five data, which is a hard coded data. I have it populated within this. And I have a search bar where I have a text box and I have a value where this I'll explain to you this search and set search. So I have whenever there is a change on the text value, the search will happen. And there is this the selection option window where I can select all open or closed. So this is the UI. So if you see here, this is the complete page where I have my incident list, I have my search bar, I have my filter. So this is my use state. For example, when initially the use state of incident data will be null, when the use data of loading is true and search the text box will be empty, the selection window by default, whatever I showed you here, will have all. So these are the state, the initial value when it is required. So there next this all this page is loaded. So I want to set the incident data. The table needs to be rendered after loading my UI component. That is that use effect I have mentioned here with the timer set out. Okay. So now we can go and see what is the how it is run. So for example, here, if you see here, can here see, you can see these are the state. Now I all listed all the incidents. Now, if I want to know what are the open, so I can do this list only the open state. This is the state it's stored. I want only the result. Now, this is the status result. Based on my state, I can drop down the table here. So this is the closed, only closed. I want to list all again. Now here, then I want to, this is a search. When it is empty, I want to give only this text. Now if I type based on my entry, the search should list only the whatever, for example, SMS delivery. So only the SMS related will come here. Now node. So this is one of the sample for use state and use effect. So if you have any questions, let me know. I will answer in the comment. Thank you. We can see the next hook section.